So the third part of looking at a successful journey and career as a coach is to understand this principle. And I'm not sure if any of you have heard of a guy called Will Smith before, but I just finished reading his autobiography called Will. Excellent fucking book. And there's a quote in the book that really resonated with me, which was this. He says, "You will never outgrow the people that you surround yourself with." You'll never outgrow the people that you surround yourself with, right? Really significant quote. So I want you to understand this. When we look at life and we look at people and society and how we come together, this is what's known as a bell-shaped curve. It's what's known as a normal distribution. Whereas effectively what it means is that 95%, let's call it 90%, 5% are underperforming, 5% are overperforming, and 90% of people exist somewhere in the middle, okay? So if we're talking about this financially, what we know in Australia is that 91%, not exactly the same, but pretty fucking close, 91% of Australians are never going to be able to retire, right? They're going to exist in this space. It's more than 5% that are on Centrelink, but some people obviously are homeless. I would imagine that would be somewhere around about 5%, probably a little bit less. And then on the top end of the spectrum, we would estimate that around about 1 to 3% of people become financially free. So give a bit of a rough idea, right? Most people make the same as most everybody else. Some people overachieve and some people underachieve. We look at our society at the moment, and we consider, okay, what is under and overachievement? If we look at somebody in a career, we've got some people that are unemployed, middle managers, senior executives. As a coach, most people don't get started, but some people are just sort of bleeding out on the canvas financially, and they make very little money. The average coach makes between $51,000 and $92,000, and then there are some coaches that make $100,000 plus, right? You want to be part of the top 5%. Now, most of you be quite familiar with this curve and you understand what its significance is, but let me just frame this to you. If you were in the lower socioeconomic category here, if you're in the category of people that are not performing in life, if you're the sort of person that's not showing up for your job on time, if you're the sort of person that's living on the streets, if you're the sort of person that's got a drug or alcohol problem, if you're the sort of person that's in an abusive or negative relationship, effectively, you sit in the bottom 5% category of what we would consider to be quote unquote normal in society. Then there would be social pressure for you to conform and join the middle of the curve, right? Life's not going very well for you, and so we're going to put social pressure on you, and there's a whole heap of government incentives and programs and situations to help you become part of the main group, right? If you're not going very well, the support mechanisms in place, right? And we consider that to be part of the good fabric of society. Because these people, by comparison to everybody else, are not doing very well, therefore we need to help them. However, yin and yang, right? Everything in polarity. So the 5% that do very, very well, the 5% that have got great health and physically fucking incredible shape, the 5% of people that have unbelievable relationships and love and romance and intimacy, the 5% of people that are unbelievably wealthy, the 5% of people that have a beautiful spiritual connection, they also find themselves in a position where that same pressure is applied to them. The pressure to conform, to be part of the rest of the group, to not be different, to not stand out, to embrace the status quo, to not travel the road less traveled. So we often don't think about this because often for most people, they're not part of the different group. Most people don't find themselves part of this group, so they don't really know what it's like until they get to this section. The point that I'm making for you here is, it's not just one spectrum. It's not just one adoption and diffusion curve. It's not just one bell-shaped curve. Effectively, it exists with hundreds of bell-shaped curves overlapping each other in society, right? You have heaps of these. And what we want to do is be in this final section and category where now, and please write this down, you want to surround yourself with people that normalize peak performance, not justify mediocre performance. You want to surround yourself with people that normalize being in the top 5%. Because when you make a shift out of this group, out of the 90% of people that are just getting by, doing the same shit, when you make a shift out of that, in the very beginning, you're going to experience some friction and frustration. You're going to be criticized and ridiculed. There's going to be huge pressure on you to conform to what the rest of society is doing because that's the group that you've been part of. You're leaving this and joining this. But eventually, you'll find yourself in a position where, in this top 5% here, they form their own curve, and now you're part of this group within the top 5%. You want to be in that group. You want to be in a group that normalizes peak performance, but normalizes peak performance, not justifies mediocre performance. And when you can break free of that, big things start to happen for you as well. In simple terms, you are the people you hang around. And so until you start to level up your company that you keep, nothing's going to happen. Another key thing that's really important as part of this as well is that you need to surround yourself with people that are reinforced ideas of what's possible. If you're the most successful person that you know and then you're attempting to do something brand new like starting a coaching business and you don't know anybody that's a successful coach, it can feel really difficult. It can feel really daunting and intimidating and overwhelming and might be a bit of a pipe dream. But imagine if everybody that you knew, everyone you associated with, everyone you spent time with was all coaches making more money than you. You're like, oh fuck, well this is not just something that happens, it's something that happens all the fucking time because my experience and exposure, to people is that this is what happens every day of the week. And so I really want you to get this idea that it's a completely different life experience when you surround yourself only with positive, like-minded, ambitious, motivated people. I just don't have any friends that are not positive, ambitious, like-minded, motivated people. That doesn't mean to say I don't have different perspectives and different friends. I do. But what it is important to understand is that we share similar value structures and similar ideas. It's really important. You also, by the way, share that. I just had to change the group of people I was in. And it's more important to be alone than it is to be with the wrong group. So you've got to be willing, write this down, you've got to be willing to give up good in order to get great. Please write that down. You've got to be willing to give up good in order to get great.